Hello and welcome to another edition of Meet the Red Cross. I'm Dave Griffith, the Executive Director of the Heart of Missouri chapter of the American Red Cross. And today we're going to be talking Lifesavers, the Lifesaver Awards. And we have our two co-chairs for this year, Amy Berendzen with Capital Region Medical Center and Jimmy K. Sanders, who's one of our board members, are our two co-chairs. And also joining me on the show today is Nancy Sell, and Nancy is our Major Gift Officer. And this is her project that she's been given this year. And so, ladies, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us.
Happy to be here.
On the second half of our show today, we're going to have two of our Lifesavers that we had from last year. We're going to have Detective Chris Suchanek with the Sheriff's Department, and then Curt Bohanan with the Jefferson City Police Department. So they'll be joining us in the second half of the show. So, ladies, glad to have you with us today, and I know I can speak for Nancy in saying that we are very pleased to have you as our co-chairs for this year. This is the biggest event that we have in the Heart of Missouri chapter, and having two people with the caliber of you ladies, I'm sure this is going to be a successful event.
Thank you.
So, I think first off, what we like to do in this show, and I know that Mike Flanagan gave you a script of what we're going to do, but he also told you I don't follow that script a whole lot. So
we did get that warning.
we're going to get off the script almost immediately. And I'd like for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. And Jimmy Case, and you're one of our board members, and you have not been on this show before.
No, I have not.
And so you might just tell us about how you got involved with the Red Cross. And
Well, I was approached several years ago by a different director at that time, and to be a board member of the Red Cross, and I felt very honored to be asked, and I said yes, because I feel that the Red Cross is, not only is it local here in this area, but it's international. It's one of the organizations that does so much good for so many people. It is an organization that I hope that I will never have to call upon to use, but it is all free of charge when you do, and I just feel that it's very important to be involved in something of this caliber.
well, thank you. And I'm very happy that you're on board and serving with us. And Amy, you might just tell us about yourself. You're a Jefferson City lady, aren't you?
I am. I'm a proud lifer, so the Lifesaver Awards was a perfect fit. I often brag at and appreciate the opportunity that I'm able to give back to the community that raised me, and I echo what Jimmy Kay said too, so much, and not just locally. There's something on the news, and the Red Cross is being lifted up by what they do for people we go to church with and work with every day, and then also in the national realm too. I think it's more and more prevalent. The need is there, and when the need arises, the Red Cross is always there. So it's an honor to support these efforts.
Okay. And Nancy, you've been on the show before, and I appreciate what you're doing for us and being a part of our team, and I really appreciate you heading up the Lifesaver Awards this year. I did that last year, and so we passed the baton to Nancy, and I'm sure she's going to do an excellent job.
I hope so.
Okay, let's talk about Lifesavers and what the event that we've got for this year. Nancy, you might just tell us when that event is going to be.
The event will be held June 25th. It's the last Tuesday in June, and we have a barbecue. It's a casual event. We want everybody and anybody who wants to come to feel comfortable being there. We're going to be at the pavilion north of the river, what used to be Cedar City. It's called now North Jefferson City. There's a pavilion. It's an outdoor event, and it starts at 4 o'clock, and we should be easily done by 7. But we'll take the opportunity to honor all those people who were selected to win the awards this year, and it's just a nice, fun event.
Okay. Well, I guess the first question for you two ladies would be, how did you get involved with the Lifesavers?
Well, I had a phone call from Nancy. Can we have coffee? And I said, of course, because she knows I love coffee. And she asked me to co-chair this with Amy, and I said I would be very honored to do that, because I feel that, to honor and to recognize our lifesavers is of ultimate importance.
Okay. And Amy?
I would agree. I also am not very good at saying no, especially for efforts and events that are near and dear to my heart. And again, being a lifelong resident of this community, I love and appreciate so much again, it was just a natural fit and seemed perfect to take advantage of the opportunity to recognize and thank and applaud the heroes and the lifesavers that walk amongst us every day.
Okay. Jimmy Kay, tell us about what what you perceive as the purpose of the Lifesaver Awards event being.
Well, to recognize these people who have helped others. These are people that really don't want to be recognized. It's just something that they do. And that they, to be honored, not only from this past year, but maybe from years past, for being a good Samaritan, or maybe someone who has been a young person who has helped save a life, or also in the law enforcement that you will hear two men shortly, and people in the medical field. These are people who, they do that because that's ingrained in their soul.
And Amy, you might tell us about what's being done as far as the preparation of this event and how that's going to, what we're doing to start this off.
It's been we have a great committee.
Oh, we do.
A lot of lifesavers themselves who believe and would echo what Jimmy Kay and I have mentioned here today. So there's a lot of pre-planning with publicity and logistics. There will be a lot of information forthcoming, and just, again, a great group of people who believe in the cause and the plight of the Red Cross as well. So,
well, and for those of you that are just tuning in, we're talking about Lifesaver, the Lifesaver Awards, and last year was the first year that we had the Lifesaver Awards. We changed the name. For a long time it was known as the Day of Heroes or the Heart of a Hero, and there was some confusion as to what that event really was when it was so close to Heart Month. And so there might have been a little bit of confusion in that. And so we modeled a lot of what we're doing after some of the things that our St. Louis region is doing. And the Lifesaver Awards it really was successful last year, and we're hoping it's going to be that same way this year. And having a committee of 20 people, and really these were folks that we knew that we could call on, and that they would they'd step up to the plate and help us make this successful. So.
And they certainly will.
Yeah, they will.
They very much will.
Nancy, Jimmy Kay kind of alluded to it just a little bit, but you might tell us about what those awards are.
Well, we have 8 categories of awards this year. We have a youth lifesaver for anybody 18 or under when they actually did an activity to help save a life. And then we have a Good Samaritan. We have a military award, a medical award, a blood services award for somebody who's been active in the blood services side of the Red Cross, either donating or organizing blood drives. And then we have our public safety sector. There's 3 awards: the law enforcement award, the firefighter award, and then the emergency medical services. So we feel like we're trying to set the system up to where anybody can qualify for one of those awards. And anybody who lives in the 21 counties that our chapter serves can nominate anybody who lives in our 21 counties. So it's a broad area, and there's a lot of coverage, area to cover out there, but we want to make sure that everybody knows that they're able to nominate.
Okay. Well, Amy, who are those that are eligible to be nominated for this award?
based on the categories Nancy just mentioned, the way I see it, it's anyone who deserves recognition and a nomination for exhibiting a heroic effort that aided in the life-saving or a rescue of a victim or an individual.
Okay.
So,
And Jimmy Kay, how would they nominate them?
Well, they would call either the Red Cross office at 573-635-1132. They could get a hold of the online at www.redcross.org/HOM or nancy.sell@redcross.org. Is that correct? That's correct. All right. And also board members will have nomination forms.
And we're going to have nomination forms. Samuel's Tuxedo seems to be the ticket outlet for the city of Jefferson, and so I've talked with Sam, and he's going to have some of those nomination forms there as well. But I think one of the things that we really try to get across to people, and that is that this event and the life-saving event that we're talking about, didn't necessarily have to happen just within the last year. It can be something that has happened 3 or 4 years ago. In some cases, if someone is a hero, and if they weren't recognized for that heroism that they did, it very well may have been 10 years ago, those folks are still eligible to be nominated. And the one thing that I want to encourage our audience for, and those that are going to be doing the nomination, don't take for granted that somebody else is going to make that nomination.
That's true.
We've got to take it upon.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. You've got to take it upon yourself. So, Jimmy Kay, you were at the event last year.
Yes.
You might tell us about your impression of that and how it differed from ones that we've had in the past.
Well, this actually was my first event to go to, and I was very impressed. Everybody was very, very congenial. We had a great host, an MC, and they were honored by, they were sponsored also. They had sponsors, and they would honor each person in the category. The food was very good. We did have a silent auction, and that was lots of fun to bid on those things.
Okay. Let's talk about, Nancy, let's talk about the silent auction and some of the events that surround the Lifesavers.
Well, the silent auction is just to kind of give people the opportunity to support the Red Cross and you know, get a little something for doing that. But the whole point is to help raise money for disaster services. All the money that we raise from this event goes to helping people who are victims of disaster, most of those locally, like individual house fires, that kind of thing. So.
Okay. And Amy, tell us about Capital Region's involvement in this and why that's important for your hospital.
It's very important. Not only, I don't think I could pick just one category to exemplify the life-saving efforts that go on within our organization, not just the hospital, but the counties that also populate our 8-county service area also mirrors and covers 8 of the 21 within the Heart of Missouri chapter area. So it's a great fit. It helps us be there and be available and prevalent in those counties, and then some. We witness lives being saved on a daily basis in the hospital. So again, this is an opportunity for the hospital to support the heroic efforts of these individuals that live within our community. And I'm glad you mentioned too that heroism doesn't have a statute of limitations. So I think that was something new to this year's event, that it didn't have to occur within a certain time span or a window, that it's an equal opportunity for any event or occurrence that took place whenever. So.
Nancy, last year was your first year with it, and I'd like for you to kind of give us some of your impression about the value of this for those that are sponsors and what that means to them and how this engages them with the Red Cross.
Well, the Red Cross is, from my experience, I've been here exactly a year and 2 days, but the Red Cross is a really awesome organization. The people who work there and the people who volunteer really have a giving heart, and they really want to help people. And so as a sponsor of this event, you get to tie in with that whole thought process. So you can support the activities of people in your local area that are reaching out and helping to save a life. You know, we have several different ways that we acknowledge those sponsors. We put them on our website. We'll have an insert in the newspaper that lists all of them. They get tickets so they can bring their employees to that. And they also, the award sponsors actually are up on stage if they choose to be, and will actually help deliver that award to the winner. So that's a nice thing.
Okay. Jimmy Kay, from a board perspective, why do you think it's important that the board is so involved in these type of activities, and how would you encourage other board members and other members of the community to become involved?
Well, the board does not consist of just people from Jefferson City. It, as you say, it's county-wide, and we do have other board members that drive quite a distance to come to these meetings, because most of us in Jefferson City don't know what happens outside, say in Marshall or Chillicothe or someplace in Mexico, and to get them involved in that would, it just makes them feel like they're part of being part of the Red Cross and of the disaster assistance and helping raise the money.
Well, The event's coming up on June the 25th. It'll be in North Jefferson City. Anything in closing, anything that you want to ask or add that I haven't asked you that you want to say about Lifesavers?
Nope, just know that everybody's welcome to attend, and they can call the office if they want tickets or if they want to help support
And
it.
don't forget the nomination
That's right.
form.
Because that's truly what it's all about.
This is
to
what it's about,
recognize.
and we would like them to be returned by May the 1st.
By May 1st.
Very
And it's a really daunting task to try and, when you get all the nominations that come in for each one of these awards, and I think I've drawn an analogy that's kind of like judging a baby contest, that it's hard to do. Each one of them deserve the award, and certainly it's an honor for us to be able to have this. And we call this a fundraiser for our chapter, but in many respects it's a recognition raiser and a friend raiser. We want people to understand what the Red Cross is doing in our community, and we also want them to know that that their dollars that they're investing in us are being spent wisely, and then we're recognizing those people that are making a difference in those lives. And so just want to thank both of you for being here with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I certainly appreciate what you're doing for Lifesavers.
It's my pleasure.
So if you would like to get a nomination form, you can give our office a call, or you can stop by our office, in our headquarters office in Jefferson City on East McCarty Street. And if you'll stay with us, we'll be right back, and we'll have Chris Suchanek and Curt Bohanan are going to be with us, talk about their receiving the Public Safety Award last year. So stay with us.
Lead paint poisoning affects over 1 million children today. If your home was built before 1978, call or log on.
2 o'clock. Okay.
Your employees who serve in the National Guard and Reserve may seem different. They may work a little harder, be more confident, more willing to make the extra effort to get the job done right. So when your employees need time off to serve, remember, it's not just good for our country, it's good for your business.
Glad you could all make it.
Welcome back to Meet the Red Cross. I'm Dave Griffith, the Executive Director of the Heart of Missouri Chapter, and joining us for the second half of the show is Cole County Sheriff Detective Chris Suchanek, and also Jefferson City Police Department Officer Curt Bohanan. And gentlemen, welcome to the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to have you here. Obviously, the main reason that you're here and why we asked you to be on the show is that you were the two recipients of our Public Safety Award that we had last year for our Lifesaver Awards. But as you may have heard with the interview with the ladies in the beginning, I'd like to try and give our audience something about you and to tell us a little bit about you. And so, Chris, tell us about how you got involved in law enforcement and how you got to where you are today.
I come from a long line. My grandfather and great-grandfather were both in law enforcement. And listening to the stories as a kid, I was always intrigued and wanted to be just like them.
Okay. And Curt, what about yourself?
My decision was one more of logic than passion. I was filling out my college applications, and naturally they ask you for a chosen major. After sitting down and thinking about it for some time, I decided that law enforcement would be a good career based on the retirement and the job security and just all the benefits that it carries. So, but the further I got into it, the more passionate I became about it, and so it flip-flopped 180 degrees.
Okay. And Chris, how long have you been in law enforcement?
12 years.
12 years. And Curt?
16.
16 years. Okay. Well, one of the things that I found, and what we found out about the Heart of a Hero and the Day of Heroes, is that those people that are heroes, those people that do what you all have done, generally don't want to have that moniker placed upon them, and that you do what you do for a reason. But do you see any value? Do you see value in us having these kind of awards and to recognize those people, this year we got law enforcement and fire and EMS, but do you see the value in that?
I do see a value. First of all, thank the Red Cross for recognizing us. It's a thankless job for the most part. So it's nice to get something like this, even though we don't think we're heroes. We're doing our job. That's what we were trained to do. You know, citizens come first. But to get something like this does show that we do get some community support. So it just reiterates that.
And Curt, what are your thoughts?
I agree with Chris. As law enforcement professionals, we are typically very, very modest people. We go out and we do our jobs day to day. You know, kind of tend to like to melt into the background, but at the same time to know that the community comes out and supports us, it's a real boost in morale.
Well, I think for our audience, and I know for me, having the two of you here and having the entities that you represent for us, and Chris representing the Sheriff's Department and Curt, officer of the Police Department, the collaboration that you have between those two departments, do you work closely together, or do you work independently mostly, or how does that
Absolutely work? Together. I mean, we're always, if one of us is driving down the street and say Curt's on a traffic stop, one of us will stop and back him up. We're brothers. We have the same end goal in mind.
Okay. Well, let's talk about why you're sitting here today. Let's talk about that event that happened. And either one of you, if you can just tell us about what led up to your being there at the Capitol Plaza Hotel.
Curt, you started it.
Okay. We got an alert that the suspect from double homicide in Dent County had been located in Osage County, just east of Jefferson City. There is currently a pursuit going on with the suspect, and that he was on Highway 5063 heading into Jefferson City. Naturally, all of us rushed out east, and I was able to intercept the pursuit right at the Morrow River Bridge, just down below Troop F. As chance had it, I became the second car in the pursuit and first Jefferson City officer in the pursuit. Basically the pursuit continued through town. We were able to lay out spike strips at 50 and Monroe, disabling the vehicle, taking out a couple of its tires. Pursuit continued on for a couple blocks until we ran into traffic at Missouri Boulevard. If you come up eastbound or westbound on Missouri Boulevard, typically all those lanes are full there, so we had really nowhere to go. So he took a ride onto Missouri and then another ride onto McCarty Street, and then dumped out into the hotel parking lot and ran into the hotel itself.
And where did you pick up in that, Chris?
I was just there to make easy money. I was off-duty work for the JCMG Christmas party. One of our reserves, Lyle Rosberg, he's the chief financial officer, and he'd called me Friday night and said, hey, easy money. They just want somebody there in plain clothes. That's all I was doing. I was there. I heard gunshots behind me. I saw Curt, I saw a blue uniform. I wasn't focused on that. And I identified myself and flanked around behind him. And when he was going to raise and shoot at Curt again, I fired and put him down.
Let's go back to the chase when all that was happening. For those of you that are in law enforcement, my son's in law enforcement, and so you've got a different perspective than us as laymen do. Mm-hmm. But when you're involved in that type of a situation, what's going through your mind, Curt?
At that time, I was actually pretty comfortable with the pursuit. As long as we could get it through town and out of town, away from a populated area, I was okay with it. Once it dumped out into the Capitol Plaza and we pulled into the parking lot, I knew things were going to just get serious. I mean, we're dealing with a guy who had already, willingly taken 2 lives, and now he's in a very, very, target-rich environment, if you will. So it went from, comfortable to very uncomfortable very, very quickly.
Let's go back to what you were doing there, Chris. And I know that I talked to Janet Ware-Inlow a couple of times about the number of soda tickets that she gave you and thinking you were just going to be sitting there just drinking soda and having a good time all night. But it really potentially, it could have been a very serious, you had over 600 people is that right?
Correct.
It could have turned out to be a real tragedy.
It could have been, and I'm glad he went left towards the elevators and not right towards the ballroom. Plus with Curt being right on his heels, he didn't have much time to think, you know, he was running. I'm just, like I said, glad that he did make that left towards the elevators, and glad Curt was there.
Well, and I think we talk about split-second decisions and being able to make those decisions. And how much time did you have? I mean, from the time that you heard those first gunshots to when you engaged?
Split second. I went towards the sound of gunfire. Like I said, our jobs are first and foremost citizens and innocent bystanders, then us, and then the suspect. So you don't have time to think. As a law enforcement officer, I've always asked myself, will I be ready if something like this happens? And you want to say yes, but until it happens, you don't know. So I'm glad that I did it right.
What happened after the event, in your perspective, for the JCMG folks that were there for their Christmas party? After it was all over with, I mean, did they clear the place out, or was it all?
Well, they were there for quite a while being interviewed,
okay.
And then I was shuffled off to be interviewed also. So I'm not sure how that ended up there. Once we got him into custody, basically me and Curt were moved away from the area, and I don't know what happened after that.
Okay. The suspect, is he gone to trial yet? What's the disposition of him?
He's still in the Cole County Hotel.
We're still putting him up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The event that we're having, the Lifesaver Awards this year that we're having is we split the Public Safety Award up that we had with you all last year that you received, and we split that up into 3 different categories. You see a lot of value in that, in being able to recognize law enforcement and fire, and then also to the emergency medical services folks?
I think it's like Curt said earlier, it's a morale booster. I mean, firemen, they don't need any more morale boosters, honestly. But EMS and police, I think it's a great thing.
I agree. I mean, each entity, even though we fall under the umbrella of public safety, each entity is its own, and they do their own thing. We don't fight fires, and I certainly, couldn't triage a trauma patient. So they do an outstanding job for what they do in each one.
And I'm just ribbing at the firemen. That's a long-standing thing that we have between law enforcement and fire.
Well, and I think that there are a number of things that go on. I know that there's been some basketball games where we've had the firemen and
we've got a football game coming up.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
Well, tell us about that.
It's for the safety net. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
You might tell our audience.
It's an organization that I'm a member of the board on, but there's several different, like Mark Edwards with Jefferson City Police Department. There's Jefferson City Firemen, just different entities from Cole County. We're setting up a organization that if one of the first responders are that die in the line of duty, their spouses are given a check within hours of the death to help cover some costs, and then the organization will help the children and the wives pay or husbands, pay mortgages and schooling and Christmas and birthdays to the best that we can.
Doesn't the State Highway Patrol have something similar to that now called the Masters?
Yes, I do. I believe they do, but I'm not real familiar with it. We're basically modeling the program out of St. Louis area called Backstoppers.
Okay. And unfortunately, that does happen. If we had a tragedy like that here in our part of the country here recently, that you know of?
The last one was Molly Seymour.
Up in Columbia.
Up in Columbia.
Yeah.
That was
Molly Bowden.
I'm sorry, Molly Bowden. Up in Columbia, and that was 2005,
maybe.
I believe so.
Yeah, which I think you guys do a blood drive for her. We all give blood for that. So.
Those. I think that I know, and I want to speak for everyone that we appreciate what you do every day. I know that when my son was going through his training at Law Enforcement Training Institute over the university, that one of the best things that his instructor told him was that the most important thing that you're going to do today is go home tonight. And I think that really rung home with me, well, not because he was my son and he's got a family, but I think that all too often we take for granted what our public safety folks do for us, what you in law enforcement do for us, and the danger you're going through and that you face every day that you get out there. And is this the first time that you've been involved in this type of a situation in life?
Me personally, yes, but Curt's been through it before.
Yeah, I had one other incident about 2 years prior.
Okay, can you tell us about that?
We got a call about a guy walking around about the middle part of Jeff City, I think the old Munichburg, with a gun. I found him on Broadway Street, about the 800 block of Broadway Street. Didn't see a gun on him at the time. Ordered him to stop. He ran. Foot pursuit ensued. During the course of the foot pursuit, he apparently somehow had a rifle tucked down one leg of his pants and pulled it out. We rounded the corner of a building, and he had turned and was pointing the rifle at me. So I fired 2 shots at him. He continued on into a nearby apartment building where the SWAT team was called in and took him into custody.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being our award recipients last year, but more importantly, I want to thank you for what you do every day for the citizens of this community and of this county. And I think I can speak for them that we feel safer because of what you do, and you've been a good model for us. And I just want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I think it's an honor for us to serve this community, especially.
It is. It's a great community.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us for this edition of Meet the Red Cross. It's been one that we hope that you've enjoyed and hope that you will take advantage of the Lifesaver Awards and in nominating some of those that you know that have made life-changing events in somebody's life. So until next time, thank you, and thank you for supporting the Red Cross.